Hello everybody, Isamu Sushi here, and first I want to start off by saying I'm sorry about my giveaway. I've been so focused on my blue belt and challenge lock and trying to get all my chips and stickers and stuff mailed out that I haven't got to it. I'm still deciding on the very final details, so I do apologize, but it's coming up very quick. But speaking of my challenge lock, so I ordered some bidding shields so that you can't see the bidding, and turns out they didn't show up in time. So I made this one work, and uh, I'll explain in a minute, but you can see it works. I just put a little screw through it, and there you go. But turns out, now this is my challenge lock, so I hid the bidding, but turns out the actual Easy Set brand is a little bit different. My hole doesn't line up, and I'm not going to be able to get it through, so I'm going to have to make a new one. So I thought, hey, I'll just show you how I made it. I thought it was pretty cool. It works. It's not the prettiest, but hey, oh well, it works. So what I did, take two of these label tags, pulled all the guts out the inside, and I thought, hey, I can just stick one in and try to shield this side. Well, wasn't too happy about that. So I thought, hey, why don't we stick two of them together, and then I can get that hole to line up with that spot right there, and put a screw through it, and it will stay in. But since this is a little longer, got to make a new one. So now what I did is I have etched marks right there, and on the very tip of where I need to take out. And what I'm doing is I'm cutting down to that forming line formed when they formed it. So the bottom of this opening right there. So the opening on the inlet, I'm cutting just to the bottom of that. So I'm leaving the outside layer. So I marked both of them already. What I did is I just took my utility knife. You got to try to cut straight down. So I'm gonna bring it to the edge of my table so I can cut straight down on my lines. Cut down to the right depth. And then I'm able to kind of come in from the side here and just shave it off to my angle cut there. Got to be really careful. Use a sharp blade. Make sure you watch what you're doing. And there's that corner out. So repeat the process. Try to do it fairly quick, but obviously I don't want to cut my finger either. Gotta protect your hands, everybody. Okay, so there's the other side. I just cut that side out, and hopefully you can, hopefully you can see that. The key will fit in better. Gotta use the right key. So there you can see the key fits in there perfect. I just gotta take out that tip right there. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So let me just take this tip out right here. And you will see the tip of the key, but I don't care. So okay, make sure I got enough. Okay, there's the tip all cut out. I'm going to do the top of the other side. Okay. Sorry, I know I'm doing this off camera, but it's much easier when you're cutting straight down on a flat surface. So you see that one's notched out. That one's notched out the same. And when you put them together, we should have a nice pocket. And there you can see my screw hole lines up nicely right there, so I can put a screw through, so keep the key in there. And then on the end here, I just got a 3/16 post screw, so we can post screw this very end. That's also going to keep it together while we try to connect it and join the two pieces. And then what I did for the middle is I needed a filler, so I got a screw and a couple washers to put in between. So we're going to put a couple washers in between, run the screw up through, and then this is going to keep everything all lined up. This is an 832 I'm using on the screw to keep everything lined up. And then I'm using a 632 on the final screw that's going to hold everything together. So there you can see I got that snugged up. That held together there. And everything's lined up. We just got a little bit of a bulge there in the middle. And we're ready to go. So I have a plastic welding gun. What it is just a hot iron to melt wire into plastic. This is soft plastic, so we have to be careful. You could just use a hot iron or a soldering gun to melt the two together. Leave the post screw in, and then when this screw goes through to keep your key from falling out, that's also going to help keep it together. But since I have the plastic welding machine, what it is we're going to take these little staples here. Hopefully you can see those. A little bit of a squiggly, but not much. Put them in the tip, and then if you're going to do this, I recommend very lightly pressing them in here. You don't want it sparking. Normally when you're going into a plastic panel, it's very hard plastic, and you want it really well embedded in your gun. But on this, you don't, because this is soft plastic, and it's going to be very hot when we're done melting the two together. So I got a clamp right there. And then I'm going to come up here near the top where they're coming together. And that's where I'm going to stick my staple. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Setting the staple on where I want it. Then I just turn it on and we're going to melt it in. Let go of the heat and make sure she's good and embedded. Now we got to make sure it's cooled down so that we don't pull it out of that hot little socket there, the melted pocket we just made. So we just got to be really careful pulling that out. Okay, we get another one. Rinse and repeat. So I'm going to come to the other side. We're going to put a clamp on it. Luckily the clamp goes right in between my staple there. And then we're going to do it one more time. You got to be careful because it's kind of thin plastic. We don't want to melt too deep. Okay. Hopefully camera's still running and everything is still on screen. Okay, and I know that was kind of hard to see. So on this one, I'm going to do one more. Make sure you got your finger off the trigger. Otherwise, you're going to get a really hot melt and a good scalding of that exact design. Okay, so this is much thicker plastic up here, so I'm hoping I can kind of do it closer to the camera. But I'm going to hold it right up here, hold it right where I want it. Then I'm going to pull the trigger and melt it in. Make sure we get it in deep enough. And on the sides, you obviously got to make sure you don't go too deep. On the bottom, there's a lot more plastic if you're using the same thing I'm using here. And that's all I did to it. So now we got to pull these out. Okay. Now, if you look at this one, it's I melted the edges clean. And I'll show you just a sec. We got to make sure these are nice and cooled down. And then these staples have a score mark in them, so that once you've melted them in, you can break them off. Now check your score marks. Mine are on the outside, so I'm going to bend it in. And there's one. Oh, I just pulled the wire out. So see, that's what you got to be careful of right there. I just pulled my wire out, so I'm going to have to melt a new one in on that side. Hopefully the other one stayed in. And there you can see. Then you're just going to take your smoothing iron, and we're just going to come over the top and melt this down in there. Okay. Oh, I got to put a new staple on that side. So I'll just smooth off these two sides so you can see what I'm doing, or see what I mean. Set that somewhere safe. And there you can see I've got a melted wire staple in there, and then I melted the plastic back over. A lot of the times you can get extra plastic sticks where you can melt plastic down in there, and then I'll just shave off any of this excess and clean it up. So we should just have to take out our screw, and I'll put a new one in the other side here later. You guys kind of get the point. And I will just make sure we fit. Okay, so slide that in. There's our hole right there to put my screw in, and I have a shield for my challenge lock. Sorry again about the giveaway, guys. I've been just focused on the challenge lock and my mail outs and everything. But stay tuned, coming soon. Hope this information helps people. You can see even without the staple, it's still melted together. So you should be able to use a hot iron and melt those together if you want to just do it that way. I just happen to have this tool, so I did it this way. Anyway, thank you so much to all my supporters. If you stay to the end, you're a super trooper. You guys, I love you all, but you guys super troopers rock. Have a great day, everybody. Hope this helps. If not, oh well, it's there for posterity.